Hello, Mark. This is Mark Copolov. Welcome.
Hello, Mark. Nice to be down under.
Yeah, thank you for giving up some of your precious time to do this interview.
No problem.
All right, well, we're going to talk about Ringo Starr's Ringo Rama and his new CD and all sorts of things. So we'll start off by going in reverse chronicle order, if you like. And just to mention up front that you've produced and co-written Ringo Starr's last 4 studio CDs. So you spent a lot of time with the gentleman.
Yes, we've actually become quite good friends now. You know, it's always sort of scary at first because, you know, growing up with the Beatles, they were like my whole world. So the first time I worked with him, I had all my Beatle pictures on the wall. I had to take some down so he wouldn't think I was a stalker.
Fair enough. All right, well, Ringo Rama was released on the 25th of March, and it is available in all good record stores, and I certainly urge people who like Ringo to go out and have a listen and buy this album because, well, it's CD now, and it comes with a DVD. It's certainly a really good CD, especially after a few listens, Mark. It really grew on me, and it's just full of really good songs. There's a lot of colour.
Yeah, well, see, we actually this time decided to make it be about the songs. Remember, he came from the Beatles, and they were all great songs, and it's really, really tough to screw up great songs.
Yes.
So we actually sat in a room like a band, and a lot of the material was written like as a group. And I think that the comfort zone behind that was a beautiful thing. You know, on the record, I think in the first 100,000 copies, they're releasing this 45-minute DVD that comes along as a bonus to buying the record. And it shows you such great insight. If you're like a Beatle fan and you see Ringo behind the drums actually playing the drums and coming up with parts, even as a fan myself, I love watching it because it's so great to see him at work. As well as the other people, you know, the guest stars that came over, Eric Clapton, Willie Nelson, David Gilmour from Pink Floyd,
yes,
Sean Colvin, and you see all these people on the DVD, how casual making a record when it's fun really is.
Well, I had a lot of fun watching it the other day. Just to mention, you guys were recording in a very small room, weren't you?
Well, you see, Ringo does not like to use conventional recording studios. He thinks you have to be someplace where it feels good. And my little office in California, it's like above a Thai food restaurant and a pawn shop, and you never would think that anyone is making music in here.
So that was the same location that you recorded the Vertical Man
CD? Yeah, the Vertical Man. It's the same place. Ringo calls it the cupboard.
The cupboard, yeah, fair enough.
And he doesn't really want to go anywhere else. And you see how funny it is when he walks down the hall of his building, and these people are staring at him like, wait a minute, what's he doing here? And he's here making a record.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
All right, well, before we go through some of the songs, I'd like to talk about the front and back covers. And starting with the front cover is a drawing of Ringo by you. So are you a frustrated graphic artist, Mark?
No. As a matter of fact, my scholarship in school was in art. Okay. And then I got screwed up by the Beatles and Elvis and put a guitar around my neck. So I was supposed to be just the opposite. But the funny thing that happened in the Ringo situation was we were working in he had a studio built in England just like my silly place here in California. Because he wanted the vibe to be the same. So it's very, very similar. And one day he was in there and he goes, if you boys want to reach me, I'll be at extension 201. And he signs just this blank piece of paper, Ringo, and then it said extension 201. And I thought, well, that's kind of lackluster. So I just grabbed my pens, and I swear to you, I did a quick drawing and ink pens and put some stickers on it. It might have taken me 3-4 minutes. Put it on the wall, and we just kept it there so that when you looked and you saw the vision of Ringo, oh yeah, that's where he is, and we could phone him at the house at extension 201. Now, when you see the DVD, you see David Gilmour playing his guitar, and over his shoulder is what would end up being the album cover, but just on a piece of paper.
Okay.
So I thought it was going to be thrown away when we left England and the record was over with.
All right. Well,
I thought. So Ringo took a picture of the picture, emailed it to me, and said, I would love this to be the album cover. And I thought he was joking. But he was serious. And so now I have a second career.
Yeah.
I mean, if nothing else, I can go down to the pier and do those character drawings of, and what do you do? I'm a gardener. And then you draw their heads big and put a hoe in their hand.
Yeah.
I have a whole other life.
I think the drawing just represents what the whole CD does, and that's
It really does.
Fun, a bit
It really
of fun.
does. It was fun and colorful, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah. Now, looking at the back cover, I just want to go over this. A bit of controversy here, everyone. It says produced by Mark Hudson and Ringo Starr, and underneath that it says produced by Ringo Starr and Mark Hudson, which is a little dig at Paul McCartney's recent decision to reverse some of the Lennon-McCartney credits on the songs. But, Mark, the thing I find funny is that from day one up until now, if you go into any record shop and buy the very first Beatle album, Please Please Me, and look at the back, you will find 8 songs that are credited to McCartney/Lennon.
Right.
So,
I know. I really think what ended up happening is that Paul, for whatever reason, I mean, obviously there's always competitive spirit, and I think he and John, as they loved each other, they also were very, very competitive. And what's happened is, I mean, so many people say it's like, instead of Laurel and Hardy, what if we called it Hardy and Laurel?
Yeah.
Or Rogers and Hart, or Abbott and Costello, Costello and Abbott. I think that the world knows that it's Paul.
Yeah.
And I think that everyone knows that Paul wrote Yesterday. But he has something in his heart where he wants to be able to have that be his legacy, I guess, for his family. So Ringo obviously has his own thoughts about it, but doesn't want to make waves either. So on our little record, it was sort of like his version of Ringo really saying, does it really make any difference?
Exactly. And well,
you know what I mean? Whether it was produced by Mark Hudson and Ringo Starr or produced by Ringo Starr and Mark Hudson. It is a collaboration.
So,
and without him, I'd be nothing, and without me, he would still be a Beatle, but he wouldn't be the same producer.
So has Paul actually contacted Ringo and made a comment on
I
Ringo's
think
comment?
they have. I think his first comment was he loved the album.
Oh, really? That's great.
Which was great. And also in one of the tunes, Ringo does a little tip to the hat of Paul. Someone's knocking at my door. On a song called English Garden, Ringo on the outro starts singing that melody.
Yeah, from
they're very close. It's so weird. We always look at the Beatles as after the breakup as being this very tempestuous, argumentative thing. And they were friends all along, and they argue just like we would argue with our best friend.
Sure. Yeah.
But I don't really think it's ever really about, you're a bastard kind of thing. I just think it is what it is. And like when Ringo was interviewed recently, and I will quote for him, and they asked him not about our little joke, but they asked him, how do you feel about the Paul McCartney, John Lennon signatures being switched? And Ringo said, well, all I know is all the songs I played on were Lennon and McCartney. And I think that was probably his way of saying, get over it. It is what it is.
Let it be.
Yeah, let it be, so to speak, yeah.
Okay, now, on the album, you mentioned some of the guests there, Eric Clapton, Willie Nelson, there's Van Dyke Parks, David Gilmour, Timothy Schmidt from the Eagles, and Ringo's regular band, the Roundheads, which of course includes you, Mark, and you're credited with guitar, bass, keyboards, background vocals, and mellotron, and you co-wrote all 14 songs. Gee, you're one busy guy, aren't you?
Well, you see, the weird thing, Mark, is I'm a songwriter first.
Okay.
And so that was always first and foremost to me. Everything that I play, I'm not really great. So it's really, it's like, to me, Neil Young is Eddie Van Halen. So I can't play guitar any faster than Neil Young. And my piano playing is I can play maybe like John Lennon used to play.
Okay.
But like Ringo says, when he gives me an odd compliment, he says, you have all soul and no control. And I guess that means that I'm not really a great player, but my passion is what gets it through. And so I enjoy it.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool when you're there playing, like I played bass on the record, and I'm playing my bass, and all of a sudden I look over, and my drummer is a Beatle!
That's not bad.
How cool is that?
Well, actually, if you look at the last 2 albums with Vertical Man and Ringo Rama, the current one, as a songwriter, Mark, how do you feel about the fact that three of the then remaining Beatles have recorded your songs?
I know that's pretty. The whole idea of that, with George Martin doing the string arrangements, and even Jeff Emmerich, the engineer who engineered Revolver and Sgt. Pepper. I mean, it's sort of like growing up, I always wanted to be a Beatle. And now I'm working my way down. I think I'm like the 9th or 8th Beatle.
Yeah.
Working my way down to being one.
I had the pleasure of interviewing Jeff Lynne once, and he had the same sentiments when he was helping them with the anthology.
Yes, he does. Jeff is a huge, huge Beatle fan. We talk about that all the time.
Okay.
Because Jeff and I are pretty good friends.
All right. Well, Mark, can you explain to our listeners, how did you and Ringo first link up?
Well, we'd met before in the 70s and stuff, but that was a very foggy period for all of us.
Okay.
And we have had the same lawyer, Bruce Graykel, for about 30 years. And then one time I had written like a Grammy Award-winning song called Living on the Edge for Aerosmith.
Mm-hmm.
And it won a huge award here. And I wrote that song based on my John Lennon lust, because no one was doing instant karma and power to the people and give peace a chance. The music had moved on. And so all of a sudden I'm sitting there thinking about John, and this thing goes through me. Something's wrong with the world today. I don't know what it is. Something's wrong with our eyes. And it even sounded like him. Played it for Steven Tyler, and he went, whoa, that's like John Lennon's in the room. John Lennon's in the room. Stop, stop. And we wrote the song. It becomes a huge hit. It becomes a Grammy. I then at a party, Ringo goes, I love that song you wrote, the Living on the Edge, kind of beachfully. And I went, oh, yeah, well, I can't help myself. He goes, maybe we should get together and write something sometime. And I went, really? Yeah, that'd be good. Okay. So we met up. We sat. He came down to my little studio, which he loved because of the vibe of it. And next thing you know, this thing of beauty starts to happen called King of Broken Hearts. And he loved the process. So he said, can I come back next week? I went, sure. So we wrote like 3 songs. And then I was thinking I was just a songwriter and that he was going to get like Jeff Lynne to produce or Phil Ramone. And I said, well, when you do these for real, what you might want to do is, he goes, what are you talking about for real? These are all for real. And I kind of like looked at him in disbelief. He goes, you're my producer? And I thought he was joking again. I was waiting for the punchline because Ringo's very funny. And he goes, if they don't want you as a producer, I won't make the record. And he was like the first guy to stand up for me and say, if I'm making a record, he's my guy.
Yes. Gee.
Pretty cool.
It's pretty good. Well,
are you kidding?
Yeah, it's amazing for a Beatle fan.
I died and gone to heaven. Yeah. Once I finished Vertical Man, and there I was at Paul's house, and George played guitar and all that stuff. At that point, I thought I was through. Okay, I'll go skydiving. I'll have lunch with Bin Laden. Wherever the bombs are dropping, go ahead. Put me there. I've done it all. At that point. That's how proud I was of the music.
Eye to Eye, and that's the first track on the CD. And the thing to me, Mark, is that I think it's your way of saying to the listener, we're going to start this album off with a song that shows you that we're trying to take a bit of a harder edge on this CD than Vertical Man. Would that be correct?
Yes, it would, because Ringo has this thing. Everyone thinks as we get older that we lose our edge for rock and roll, and we only start listening to Perry Como or Dean Martin.
Mel Torme.
Yeah, and although we love that music as well, Ringo's a rock drummer.
Yeah.
And so the first words out of his mouth is, remember when I said it don't come easy, which was his first hit post-Beatles. And so here he was kicking some big butt. And he pulled it off. He played great.
Oh, yeah. Well, I noticed across the whole album, his drumming, some of the stuff he's doing reminds me of his drumming when he was at his peak, like when he did Rain with the Beatles.
Yeah,
the amazing drumming in that. He's doing a lot of tom work, great snare work. It's really interesting, very colourful.
Well, he got very motivated. You know what happened, Mark? Ringo and I always talk about the record we want to make before we make it. Like, we just sit down and have coffee and discuss, like, the approach of what we're going to do. And he came up with this idea. He goes, let's make this one be drum intensive. Like, even in the mixes, let's have the drums up a little bit than you would regularly mix a record. And let the playing be aggressive. And I always thought that was great. And being a Ringo fan, my first job, I was a drummer to begin with, and I only patterned everything I ever did after him. So I thought it was a cool concept. And he goes, let's make everyone specific. Like, on Vertical Man, I was doing a lot of. I was playing percussion. I was doing a lot of different stuff. This time, our idea was Ringo is the drummer and the percussion player. Mark, you're playing bass. So everyone had a specific gig, and even now and then we would throw a bone to each other. I think the continuity of it came out great like that.
Yes. Yeah, no, it was great. Now, if we move on to the next track, Missouri Loves Company. So here we have another Ringoism like
Yes.
A Hard Day's Night. So Ringo really does play these laid-back ones so well, doesn't he? As well as the rock and roll.
Actually, nobody plays that groove better than him. Yes. And you're also right when you said the Ringoism. You know, John Lennon used to love Ringo because Hard Day's Night was his title, and Tomorrow Never Knows is a Ringoism, and even McCartney said wearing her face that she keeps in a jar by the door on Eleanor Rigby. I mean, those are little Ringo things and he says them even now, and now I'm hip to it, so when he says them, I write them down.
That's a good idea, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
and then from that point, he also is not afraid to have humor where Missouri loves company, Missouri being the state of Missouri in America, but also, pun intended, misery loves company.
Sure.
So he tries to float that line between, kind of tongue-in-cheek, really.
Sure. All right, and the next one, because we'll whiz through, quite a few here. I'm just interested in your comments.
Whiz away, my friend, whiz away.
Yeah, I'm just interested in your comments about quite a few of them. Instant Amnesia with David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, of course, and David's worked quite a bit with Paul McCartney at the Cavern, and Parkinson, and quite a few, Run Devil Run, all sorts of stuff. This track is a bit avant-garde for Ringo, and in the middle, he does something I've never heard him do, and he goes into a little bit of jazz.
I know, and you know something, when we were doing the track, it was funny because prior to that track, Ringo was having sort of a sad day, and he walked in and goes, I'm not really a drummer, I only play like this, and I went, are you crazy? And he was feeling really, really blue. So we cut the day off short. The next day he came in, he just sat behind the drums, and I came up with that real aggressive, it almost kind of is reminiscent of David Bowie's Fame. And he started playing the drums, like he was 19. And just wonderful, wonderful stuff I'd never heard him play before.
Yes.
It gets to the middle eight, and he stops, and he says, let's do something really weird here. Let's do a little jazz bit. And I meant, what the hell are you talking about? And he went over to this Roland kit. It's like a drum kit that you can program other sounds in. So when you play the drums can sound like vibes or a bass guitar or a keyboard, but you're playing the drums. So all of a sudden he goes, doom, 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 and that little section starts. We thought he was joking. And he went, I'm serious. He goes, and then we'll stop here and bring it back in with the rock stuff, and we'll do a huge guitar solo like Hendrix. Like, wow, how great is that? So a friend of ours is Charlie Hayden, who is like the jazz great bass player. He's just huge in jazz. Now imagine putting a jazz guy on a song that aggressive.
Yeah.
So we called him up, and sometimes, now and then Ringo plays the Beatle card. Not too many people say no to him. When he calls up and goes, I'll let you come down and play, they're usually going to want to be around it. Charlie Hayden shows up with his bass, plays it, Gilmour rocks out, and boom, next thing you know, it becomes this another aggressive track.
Yeah, it's
and very, very cool.
It's ironic because on one of his live albums, when he's at Montreux, Ringo says, yes, I'm Ringo Starr. Of course you know me as a famous jazz drummer. So there we go.
Right.
So he ends up doing a bit of jazz.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
It's very strange. And every time he hears it now, he sort of smiles because even he knows it's out of his area.
Sure.
But, that's a good thing as a producer. When your artist wants to stretch,
yes,
that's good.
Sure. All right, next is Memphis in Your Mind, a bit of country and western influence there, and of course Ringo's always been a big country and western fan. Carl Perkins, Honey Don't, just whatever. He loves all that stuff. He did Bucko Blues, one of the first post-Beatles solo albums, and there's a Mercy Growl by the late and great Roy Orbison in it. So how did that come about?
Okay, this was great because the opening lyric. Number one, it's about Memphis, and we're talking about the King and that whole early point of rock and roll, even though there's a twang to it. And the opening lyric is, a cat has 9 lives, but man, you don't live twice.
Mm.
And so Ringo said, wouldn't it be great if after, a cat has 9 lives, that famous Roy Orbison,
Mm.
and I said, well, he's dead. And he goes, we'll call his widow. So we call up Barbara Orbison, and we say, look, we want to use Roy going, mercy, and growling. Can we have his thing? And I mean, it was so fast. Later that day, we got a CD of pulled from the multi-track, of separated from the music, Roy's growl and Roy's mercy. So we put it all over the song just because it seemed so right for it. And the other little additional bit in there, the little McNugget on that song, is Ringo has this thing against Pat Boone because Ringo loved all the early rock and roll stuff like Tutti Frutti and all that great Little Richard stuff. And Pat Boone had recut it in a very sort of white way, is a good way to say it.
Yeah, I've heard that version.
And Ringo would go like, wow, how did that happen? So in the song, Ringo goes, it's a bad point of view if Pat Boone got through to you. And after that, a string orchestra does a little bit of April Love. Hey, that love is for the... And that was Ringo's little twist of the knife, but in a funny way. I love that track, by the way. That one really kicks butt.
Well, Never Without You, and that's the single from the CD, my favourite track. Yeah. It's a really nice tribute to Ringo's mates who have passed away, so I assume it includes, say, John Lennon, Harry Nilsson, Mark Bolan, and most recently George Harrison, and Eric Clapton provides a terrific guitar solo in it, doesn't he?
Amazing. But now, what ended up happening with that is that George had recently passed away, and I knew that Ringo wanted to say something in song. So we came up with this sort of thing where it was, we were young, it was fun, and we couldn't lose. Times was right, overnight we were headline news. And Ringo said, I'm frightened to make it just about George. Let's make it about John and Harry and my pals. So we did a version where it spread itself out more that way.
Yes.
And then Ringo came back after that version and said, this is silly. My heart is talking about George. I'll do my John and Harry and my other songs later on. He goes, but this one has to be about George. So that's exactly what we did. We then pinpointed it. Even in the lyric, in the middle eight, he'll go, I know all things must pass, and only love will last. I'll always love the memory of you and me. And it's really, and then Clapton comes in with a solo where he's playing kind of like George on purpose. It was sort of Eric Clapton tipping his hat to George Harrison. That's one of my favorites. I love that song.
It's a great track.
And I don't mean that just because I'm one of the writers. Even if I didn't, I would go, wow.
Yeah, sure.
I got blessed with that one.
It's a great one. I think, therefore, I Rock and Roll with David Gilmour on guitar, and you're talking about, hey, Ringo's a rock and roll drummer, and he certainly shows us that again on this track. Another fun track, isn't it? He
certainly does. And, he resisted it. He resisted the first thing about, I think, therefore, I rock and roll. Because it sounds like bloody Shakespeare. And then I try to tell him, that's what a great thing is that you're sounding like that, but the track is just kicking ass.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And so he went, well, all right, let's try it. And then once he started playing the drums, he was like so there. It just took one time around from him playing that drum beat. And then we were there. It was so much fun. And then when David Gilmour came, he was going to play the solo, and Ringo says, stand up. And David Gilmour was like, why do I have to stand up? And he goes, guitar players always play better when they're standing up. And guess what? He stood up, he pressed one Pink Floyd button, and then just ripped that solo. And the intro.
Yeah, he's a great.
And we all looked at him like, well, okay, thanks, you can go home now, because it's all it took.
Yeah. He's a great player.
Oh, what? Such a great player. And I never really, I was into Pink Floyd for a bit, but never like the die-hard fan. And when I watched him play guitar, it was like magical.
No, I'm sure.
I've never seen any guy bend one string that far in my life. Beautiful.
All right, right one for me. Now, that's Willie Nelson's contribution. Well, his contribution to that song is just perfect, isn't it? I mean,
Right.
It's just so right. I mean, it's an interesting song because Ringo's asking his mate to write him the perfect song, and he mentions Yesterday, you know.
Yeah, because he doesn't have the way to do it. And so when he says, and what he wanted to do is, because he didn't want to sing, it does no good for you to play a pretty song like Yesterday. But that's not what I need to say to get her to love me. And Ringo wrote the lines and said, but I can't sing that. He goes, how about Willie? Okay. Next thing you know, there he is, Willie Nelson. And he was so easy to work with. Willie, do you want some water? Oh, no, I'm fine. Yeah, should we change the light? You want it colder in here? No, I'm good. You want a drink? No. Let's just, and he opened his mouth and done. That's what amazes me, because, I work with a lot of other acts, too, that need a lot more nurturing than that. And maybe just because these guys are older and have done it, they've got, their seeds have been sown, so to speak. But boy, it was beautiful.
All right, Elizabeth Raines with Van Dyke Parks. It's Ringo's contribution to our Queen, Elizabeth, who's reigned for so many years under all conditions. And I like the line where Ringo says, "We don't need a king." So he's
I know, isn't that great?
And at the end of the song, I could just hear him say, "There goes my knighthood."
Yeah, no, I know, because because there was areas of the song when he goes, the Queen Mum is dead, but she lives in my head since the world was at war. God save the Queen, if you know what I mean. We don't really need a king. And he thought, they're going to be angry. But he goes, oh, no. Hello, Ozzie. Ozzie Osbourne just got to my studio.
Oh, say hello from Melbourne for him.
Oh, well, in fact, I could have him just say hello.
Okay.
If you want me to.
Yeah, sure.
Hold on. Let me get him really quick.
Okay.
Stay with me. It might be a bit loud now. Wait, Ozzie, I'm doing a radio to Australia. Just say hello to Mark for me. This is Ozzie Osbourne. How you doing, Buzz?
Oh, hi, Ozzie. Welcome to 88.3 Southern FM in Melbourne.
Mr. Mark Hudson, Mr. Steve Dudas, and myself are working on a fantastic idea. It's our little secret.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe Mark can tell me more about it in the future when it's done.
Yeah. Okay. It's gonna shake the world when it comes out.
Oh, good on you.
Believe me.
Okay. Thanks, Ozzie.
Oh, he's Mark.
Okay.
Hello, Mark. I'm back. Sorry for the change of venue.
That's okay. That was good fun. You can tell us more about it when it's released.
Yeah, it'd be great. We'll do it. We promise. Just figured to get you a little guest star,
English Garden is Ringo talks about Barbara, Buster, and me, and of course Barbara being Barbara Bach, his wife, and Buster is obviously his dog. You can hear him.
One of his little dogs, Buster, who he loves.
What breed of dog is Buster?
He's a Newfoundland.
Oh, Newfoundland. Okay.
Real huge, big black thing that is like a big teddy bear.
Okay.
And then there's Monty, the other little crazy dog, who was a rescue dog.
Yes.
That he talks about all the time too.
All right, and the ending line is from what you were saying, from Let 'Em In, Paul McCartney's song.
Yeah, once again, I keep trying to say, they always do that to each other, and we got to spend Thanksgiving Day at George Harrison's house, because his wife Olivia is American, and they celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yes.
So we celebrate Thanksgiving, and Paul is there, and Ringo is there, and Eric Clapton is there, and it just was this beautiful thing. I mean, I couldn't even believe that I was anywhere around it. And Ringo says, Paul, I pitched a bit of your song. And Paul says, do I get a piece of it? And they start laughing. And then he goes, no, he goes, let him in. Someone's knocking at my door. And Paul went, oh, great, I can't wait to hear it. End of story.
Okay, and I really love her as a tribute to Barbara, and it's interesting that Ringo plays all instruments. And
yes, it was something. We were mixing the record, and he goes, the other lads always did these things where they all played everything. I never got a chance to. And I said, well, come on, let's write like a little ditty right now, and we'll go in the room in the back, and we'll make a record. And he went like, really? And he was like a little boy. Oh boy! And so we went, and it goes. George had taught him like 4 chords. I told him how to translate it to a bass. When he played the slide guitar, he put dots on the frets, going, "Put the slide up here," and he played all the instruments.
Yes. Gee, no, it's interesting.
It's really, he has so much fun.
All right, well, everyone, we're going to finish up in a minute, but I just wanted to say a few things. First of all, everyone, go out and buy this CD if you like Ringo. It's a great CD. Also, we haven't got time to talk about Vertical Man, which came out in 1998, but same thing. I think it's one of the best CDs that Ringo's released in years. And Mark, you were so heavily involved with that. I mean, you got Paul McCartney on Minefield, like you said, George on King of Broken Hearts. Ringo does Love Me Do, a really rocked up version, which is
with
great.
Steven Tyler.
Steven Tyler, he's got La Di Da, the single, which was a fun song. That's another great CD. Also, if people want to keep up to date, they can log on to the internet and get onto www.ringostar.com or www.ringotour.com, and he's going to tour in June or July, and he's got Colin Hay, one of our guys from Australia, on guitar. So when's he...
Yes, that's right. Is it
Colin?
The guy from Men at Work.
Men at Work, that's right. So when's Ringo going to tour Australia?
I don't know when he's coming down, but I mean, I've been trying to talk him to go down there because I want to go.
Oh, good. Okay, well, maybe we can...
I have friends down there. In fact, there's a very famous American drummer named Chad Wackerman.
Okay.
Who used to play for Frank Zappa, and he's done so much studio work here. He's finally moved down there with his wife. So if I'm saying hello to anyone, Chad, hello! And he's one of the best drummers ever, this guy.
Gosh. All right, and Mark, we haven't got time to talk about your career, unfortunately, but I just wanted to mention to people listening that it's amazing when I had a look and saw that you've done about 60 albums with people ranging from Alice Cooper, Carole King, Celine Dion, and you co-wrote that huge hit, The Reason, that Celine Dion covered.
Yes, that's mine.
That's huge.
Yeah. Well, I'm old. I've been around.
Yeah, well,
well, we should do it again, Mark. On another time, anytime you want to. If you want to do the second half, we'll set up another day when I got it.
That'd be great. Thanks again, Mark, and I really
In fact,
appreciate
I'm
your
actually
time.
working now with an Australian band named Zinc.
Okay.
They just signed to Warner Brothers, and they're like brand new, 3 guys, and they're really, really good. And I'm working with them here in America, so get ready for that one.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look those guys up.
Yeah, we're in the middle of doing it now.
All right. Well, I hope you get to tour out to Australia.
Peace and love to everybody.
Mark, thank you very much